Picture this. It's Sunday, September 14th, and somewhere in Montecito, California, two wine glasses are being filled with rosé. Not just any rose, we're talking about American Riviera Orchards 2024 Napa Valley vintage. The caption reads simply, "When your beau is back in town." Now, that might sound like any typical couple celebrating a reunion, but when your beau is Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, and he's just returned from secret diplomatic missions and family reconciliations halfway across the world, well, that's a story worth telling. So grab your own glass, whether it's rose, coffee, or whatever gets you through the day, because we're about to unpack nearly 2 weeks of royal drama, international diplomacy, charity work, and what might just be the most significant father-son reunion we've seen in years. Let's start with that Instagram post that caught everyone's attention. Meghan's lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, shared what appeared to be a simple, elegant photo, a hand pouring rose into two glasses. But in the Sussex universe, nothing is ever just simple, is it? The timing tells us everything. This post went up on Sunday, September 14th, just as Harry was settling back into their Montecito home after what can only be described as a whirlwind international tour. And here's the beautiful irony. The next day, September 15th, Harry would be celebrating his 41st birthday. Think about the optics here for a moment. Meghan could have chosen any way to mark her husband's return. She could have shared a family photo, a landscape shot of California, or nothing at all. Instead, she chose this intimate moment of anticipation, two glasses waiting to be filled, a quiet celebration before the birthday festivities. It's quintessentially Meghan, isn't it? She's turned a simple welcome home into content that serves multiple purposes. It promotes her rose, it gives us a glimpse into their private world, and it reinforces their image as a couple who celebrate life's moments together, no matter how small. But what makes this particularly poignant is what Harry had just experienced. This wasn't a return from a vacation or a routine business trip. He was coming home from meetings that could reshape his relationship with his father, from a war zone where he witnessed firsthand the struggles of veterans he's dedicated his life to supporting. The contrast is striking, from the weight of royal reconciliation and international conflict to the simple pleasure of sharing wine with your spouse in your own home. Sometimes the most profound moments are found in the most ordinary gestures. Now let's talk about where Harry had been that made this homecoming toast so significant. On Friday, September 12th, Prince Harry made an unannounced visit to Kiev, Ukraine, his second trip to the country this year. And when I say unannounced, I mean the kind of security-level secrecy usually reserved for heads of state visiting active conflict zones. This wasn't a photo opportunity or a ceremonial visit. Harry was there with his Invictus Games Foundation, the Paralympic-style competition he founded for wounded veterans and active military personnel. The Ukrainian government had extended an official invitation, and Harry felt compelled to accept. But here's what really gets me about this story. Harry told The Guardian that he had to check with my wife and the British government to make sure it was okay. Let that sink in for a moment. Here's a man who stepped away from royal duties partly to gain independence, and he's still navigating the complex web of permissions and protocols that comes with his position. The fact that he needed approval from both Meghan and the British government speaks volumes about how seriously everyone involved takes these trips. Meghan, as his wife and the mother of his children, obviously has a say in whether her husband travels to an active war zone, but the British government's involvement shows that despite Harry's non-working royal status, his actions still carry significant diplomatic weight. What strikes me most about this Ukraine visit is how it embodies everything Harry has been trying to do since leaving royal life, using his platform for causes he genuinely cares about while maintaining his independence. The Invictus Games isn't just a charity project for Harry, it's deeply personal. He's talked openly about how his own military service affected him, how he struggled with mental health issues after leaving the army. When he meets with Ukrainian veterans, he's not just performing royal duties, he's connecting with people who understand trauma, loss, and the long journey of healing. That's not something you can fake or manufacture for good PR. That's genuine commitment, and it's exactly the kind of work that makes the Sussex brand more than just celebrity activism. The timing is also significant. This visit came just days after his reunion with King Charles, which we'll get to in a moment, but think about the message it sends. Harry's priorities are clear. Family reconciliation is important, but his commitment to veterans and those affected by conflict takes precedence. Before Ukraine, Harry spent a week in the United Kingdom, and what a week it was. This wasn't one of those brief in-and-out visits we've become accustomed to. This was a full engagement schedule that reminded everyone of why Harry was once considered one of the royal family's most effective working members. Let's start with the WellChild Awards, which Meghan supported from afar. This is an annual event that Harry has championed for years, celebrating seriously ill children and their families. The fact that Meghan was supporting from California shows how they've managed to maintain their separate but complementary public roles. She can't always be there physically, but her support is felt. Then we have his visits to the Centre for Blast Injury Studies and Nottingham's community recording studio. Now, this is where Harry's post-royal identity really shines through. These aren't the kind of ribbon-cutting ceremonial engagements that fill traditional royal diaries. These are focused, purpose-driven visits to organisations doing work that aligns with his personal mission. At the recording studio visit, Harry announced a personal donation of $1.5 million to children in need. Let me repeat that, a personal donation of $1.5 million. This isn't money from a royal foundation or a formal charitable trust. This is Harry and Meghan's money, earned through their Netflix deals, book sales and business ventures, being put directly to work for British children. The significance of this can't be overstated. Critics have questioned whether the Sussexes would maintain their commitment to UK causes after moving to America. This donation is a pretty definitive answer. It says, we may not live here anymore, but we haven't forgotten where we came from, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. What I find particularly interesting about this UK visit is how it seemed designed to remind everyone of Harry's strengths as a working royal, while demonstrating his new independence. He wasn't there at the invitation of Buckingham Palace or as part of an official royal tour. This was Harry operating as himself, supporting causes he believes in, funded by his own resources. It's almost like he was making a statement, this is what I can accomplish when I'm free to focus on what matters to me. And judging by the positive reception he received, that message was heard loud and clear. But the moment that really captured headlines was Harry's reunion with his father, King Charles, on Wednesday, September 10th. This wasn't just another royal meeting. This was the first time father and son had been in the same room for 19 months. 19 months. Let that number really hit you. The meeting took place at Clarence House, the King's London residence, in the early evening. Harry was inside for approximately 55 minutes before departing for an evening engagement. Both Buckingham Palace and Harry's representatives confirmed it was a private tea, and both sides made it clear that no further details would be shared. Now, I've got to say, there's something almost heartbreaking about the formality of those statements. The king had a private tea with his son. It sounds so stiff, so official, for what should be the most natural relationship in the world. But let's read between the lines here. 55 minutes is not a quick courtesy call. That's a substantial conversation. That's time to cover serious ground. And the fact that both sides agreed to confirm the meeting publicly suggests it was significant enough to warrant acknowledgement, even without details. The build-up to this meeting has been fascinating to watch. Back in July, Harry's new aides met with one of the King's key staffers for the first time, a move that royal insiders described as a good first step and an olive branch that could pave the way for better relations. Think about what that meeting represents. These aren't family members calling each other directly. These are staff members, diplomats essentially, negotiating the terms under which a father and son might reconcile. It's both completely absurd and entirely understandable, given the level of public scrutiny and institutional complexity involved. The fact that this reunion happened during Harry's charity-focused UK visit is significant too. It wasn't a special trip home just to see his father. It was woven into a week of meaningful work, suggesting that maybe, just maybe, there's a path forward where family healing and Harry's independent mission can coexist. What we don't know, of course, is what was actually discussed in that 55 minutes. Was it small talk about the grandchildren Charles rarely sees? Was it serious conversation about the future of their relationship? Was it an attempt to find common ground on issues they've been battling over for years? So here we are, back to those 2 wine glasses being filled in Montecito. After everything we've just discussed, the diplomatic missions, the charitable commitments, the family reconciliation, the public appearances, Meghan's Instagram post takes on a much deeper meaning. This is a couple who has chosen to live their lives in the spotlight while trying to maintain some semblance of privacy and normalcy. Harry can travel to war zones and negotiate family relationships under global scrutiny, but at the end of the day, he still comes home to his wife, his children, and yes, a glass of wine and the simple pleasure of being together. That's the Sussex story in a nutshell. The grand gestures and the intimate moments, the public service and the private celebrations, the weight of history and the lightness of love. Whether you're Team Sussex or Team Skeptic, you have to admire the way they've managed to create a life that encompasses all of these contradictions. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this thought. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is choose happiness, choose your family. Choose to celebrate the small moments even when the world is watching your every move. That's exactly what that rose toast represents, and maybe that's why it resonated with so many people. I'm Adrian, this has been Meghan and Harry Tales, and I'll see you next time for more stories from the world's most watched couple. Until then, here's to homecomings, reconciliations, and knowing when something calls for a toast.